Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. This is Dante with Dice Anvil. Thank you for joining me again to discuss some progress on the game that we're developing. One second, let me turn off the feedback from my microphone because it's really annoying. Okay. Gotcha. I won't be able to be on for too long today. There you go. I won't be able to be on for too long today, but that is okay. We don't have a lot to talk about, but the things that we do talk about, I'm very excited for. Okay. Let's go ahead and morning Twin Steel, how you doing? Okay, so I'm not sure if you saw the extremely well-named thumbnail that's on this thing, but DAGGERHEART is all the rage right now. It is the TTRPG developed by Matt Mercer and his gang down at Critical Role, and they're working with Brotherwise Games, and people are really excited about it. I'm one of those people, because I love it when people, develop a game, even though they're pretty big themselves. They are going out of their way to be creative and create their own game, which obviously that's what this channel is all about. So yes, I completely think that's cool. And there's one mechanic, again, I'm sure you could tell from the thumbnail, there's one mechanic that is particularly interesting to me and ties into what we're talking about today. What is that mechanic? Well, let's talk about it. Let's go into, let me go ahead and fix this up, my little notes section. Okay, so Twin Steel, wanted to tell you I had an idea for advantage and disadvantage on the dice line. Okay, great. Advantage, add another die to their line. Disadvantage, first success doesn't count. Ooh, that's actually good. So you have to, I like that. So a success, I guess we could say, is like a, that 6 or higher on there. Thank you, because I've actually been trying to figure out, how to do advantage and disadvantage, because I was thinking, like, crap. Because if you only roll one die, it doesn't matter if you have advantage or disadvantage, because you're only rolling the one. But this would actually make that pretty brutal. So, okay, bet. Let's go ahead and add that on here. Let me see. That'll probably just be one of the most simple mechanics. Yeah, dice line system. Also, it's a sick name. I actually am a fan. Man, Twin, you are really helping me out here. Okay. So, before we get into our current topic, let's first conclude some things that we were talking about last time. So, advantage, add a die to line. Disadvantage, first success does not count. That's good. That's brutal too. If you're at a disadvantage, that is insane. To think you're filled with so much hope at the beginning. Oh man. Awesome. Many thanks and your many welcomes. No man. No need to. Yeah. All the thanks should be going towards you, dude. Okay. Let me make sure the chat can see everything. There you go. You can do rolling 2 takes the higher or lower, but this feels more like a line with the system. Right, yeah. Exactly. I think you're right. you want to lean into, I guess, the feel of what we're doing here, and we're stringing along all these different rolls. It's not like you have a dice pool. It's more like you have a die that you can like re-roll for certain points and try to get certain results. And disadvantage and advantage system either makes that line longer or makes it so that line's going to snap the first success you have, and you got to try again, basically. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, well, we'll run with that for now. And I can see that happening, be applicable to like things like combat as well, like super easily. Like if you're at a distinct disadvantage in combat, one of the die you successfully roll for damage doesn't count, and you have to either re-roll it or it's just null for that game. But you get to add a die if you have advantage. So yeah, that's excellent. So how would that apply to what we talked about last time with the danger die? So a danger die is what... Okay, this actually ties in. This is also a good segue to what we're talking about today. But the danger die is a die that in every round of combat, the GM's going to roll, and everyone else is going to have to roll. I think we're going to do meet it or beat it, conquers that danger. You are not in danger by the end of the environment's NPC's turn, basically. And if you have advantage, like if you're in a safe place, if you're in a place that would assume that you are, if you're just away from the danger, if you're hiding or if you're braced or something like that, then you can maybe get an extra die added to that line of you trying to dodge. So when your agility may normally be 2, well, I'm hiding right now, so that means I'm going to be able to roll it 1 extra time after. So it says the danger die right now is a D8. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a D8 now. And I got a 5. So I got to roll higher than a 5, which on a D10. Okay, first one I got is a 2. Crap. First one I got... Okay, the next one I got is a 4. So luckily I'm hiding, so I get that extra die. So I'm going to go for it. Nice, and it's a 5. And I think we're going to do meets it, beats it. That way it's not too severe. I want falling in the hands of danger to be a slightly more rare occurrence. And I'm going to make a video talking about death pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. And you can play around with everything and mix and match. Like, disadvantage could just shorten the line by 1, and you could have advantage and disadvantage simultaneously instead of and having them both cancel out. They could both be active. That's an excellent point, actually. So, what Twin Steel here is suggesting is that if you have disadvantage, it just cancels it. It basically shortens the line that you have. But if you have advantage, it extends it. Yeah. Okay. That might actually be better, I'm thinking, than just having the first success fail, maybe? Because success isn't exactly, bursting from the seams in this dice system. So I guess it would be really ambitious to have, the first success fail. Okay, here we go. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know. That's something we'll work on, but I'm definitely going to take note of that combat disadvantage and advantage system that you've come up with. Good stuff. First success fails could also be separate mechanic outside of that. Yeah, like I'm thinking, how are we going to do something with that with the conditions, right? I think I've decided to not. I want to be a little more creative than just having -1, -2 to certain things. Maybe this is where this advantage and disadvantage system could come. Like, just have you basically shorten the dice line by 1 die, which means if you're already really bad, at strength, and you also have the condition of starving, well, guess what? You're gonna fail at lifting anything that requires a die roll. Like, you're trying to pull a wagon onto the street. You're sick and you're weak, pal. You can't do that, which I think makes sense, honestly. because my first thought was, well, we're not even gonna let them roll. Well, here's the thing: you're not gonna be rolling on just anything. You're only gonna roll on things that you have a chance of failing. Well, if you're really weak and you have a condition that's gonna thwart that, then yeah, I think failing is warranted. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. Let's see. Shorten dice line. Okay, so it will shorten the dice line. That's kind of what it will do, which I'm a big fan of. For now, of course, this is an ever changing beast that we're working with here. Okay, great. All right, so what am I taking from DAGGERHEART is the thing I want to talk about here. Well, DAGGERHEART has a really cool system. Well, I say really cool as if it's like super unique. It's not like a super unique system, but it is somewhat a newer approach to combat in terms of turn order, right? They don't necessarily just roll for initiative and they go in that order and it's set. They just have what I've heard described before as a spotlight system, where the player that started the combat has the spotlight and they go, and then it's passed on to one of the players. And it kind of is like you can do an action when you feel it's right. And it's kind of fluid in that way. And it only passes to the enemy at a certain point when they like roll a certain way with fear is how they do it, right? I think shortening the line to 0 makes sense as someone who's weakened, but they can't do feats, strength, example you made. Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that you think that that's a good thing as well. Yeah, so that's probably what we'll go with. But anyway, I like how fluid the combat system is for DAGGERHEART, you know, opposed to a system like you know, D&D, when it's just a set amount of things. I like the idea of having a fluid combat system, and that's what DAGGERHEART's really exploring. And I think that that's smart, because think about how much, you know, tactical, you know, strategic things you're missing out on by having a set amount. Because I've been in a lot of games where I'm like, oh man, I wish that I could go after this person, because then he could do this spell and it would allow me to have advantage on this thing, you know? And there's a lot of opportunities there that I think should be explored. Let's talk about, yeah. And when you just roll initiative, have a stagnant order to how everything goes. It's simple and but it ultimately, I think it can harm the game, especially, you know, we all know that time when like it was our turn, but we weren't ready for it, or whatever, and we're scrambling to put something together that would be effective for the game. Or even worse, you are ready and you want to go now, but you have to wait 20 minutes for your turn, and everyone else before you is like not really into it or not really ready for it. You know, there's a lot of things that could happen that are just kind of thrown off the table when you kind of make it a fluid system. Looking forward to learning about DAGGERHEART. Sounds like popcorn, initiative, or momentum. Exactly. It is like popcorn, isn't it? It's like that reading thing in school, you know? When you're dreading, at least I was dreading to get popcorned, because I didn't like to read that much in high school. I've just recently gotten to reading now. I'm reading Brandon Sanderson. Fantastic book series. Cosmere. Oh, you better believe we're gonna make a video talking about the Cosmere RPG that's coming out pretty soon, based on Brandon Sanderson's books. I don't want to nerd about it if no one else knows what I'm talking about, but I am pretty excited about that. But yeah, that was just a tangent, and sorry about that. Okay, so I really think that Trichonomist is becoming a system where it really is trying to support player agency, and it's really trying to reward players that, you know, want to jump on opportunities to take, you know, to do certain actions and stuff like that. And I think that this idea from DAGGERHEART is exactly what should be implemented into a game that has those values, right? So let me see. So this is the order we're talking about here. So I've already said players should go in any order. Let me see. But here's the thing, though. All right, I want to move these away. Here's the thing, though. Should we explore a similar mechanic to what Daggerheart's already doing and saying it's the player's turns until something happens, like until, you know, a player completely fails a roll, or until a player like makes a mistake of some kind, and then it's now the environment's turn. What I was thinking what might happen that would be interesting was, okay, so it's the player's turn, and the players are gonna get playing. The DM or the GM, the game master, is going to roll a D4 and a D4 or a D6, and whatever the result of that roll is, let's say I rolled a 2. So in two turns, like when 2 players finish their rounds, it is now time for them to roll a danger roll, right? It is now the turn of the environment or the NPCs at that point. This makes it just kind of exciting, I guess. What kind of trigger do you think? Well, yeah, I think you're already there. Yeah, it's kind of like I'm thinking maybe like a dice roll. That way it's random one, and the players don't know when they'll have to make a danger roll. Because, you know, you want combat to feel a little tense, you know? You want combat to feel like something unexpected could just happen. And after those 2 turns, the third player is about to go, but the DM says, wait, everyone make a danger roll. And then you roll that D4 again. I don't think it should be a D4, actually, because I just rolled a 2 and then I rolled a 1. We don't want the combat to be too deadly now. Come on now. So we'll do a D6 maybe instead. I don't know. But that's also something that could change depending on how dangerous the situation is. Just saying. I don't know. That's good coffee. My wonderful wife made this coffee for me, and look what it says. Morning, handsome. I think I've showed you all this mug before, but still, everyone needs to pick me up. Okay, could it depend on your party size? That's actually a good point. Because what we don't want is for, like a crit affecting the die size. Oh yeah, like the size is completely changed, like it affects that, because the bigger the party, I guess the larger the die, because you want most everyone to have a turn, in between the times when they're rolling to see if they get hurt, basically, because you want people to have the opportunity to protect themselves. Yeah. So in Daggerheart, the trigger is like the players doing something, which is fine. I don't think it necessarily has to be that. And I think it'll be faster and more exciting for the players if they don't know. You know what I mean? We'll see. I mean, I don't want to steal everything from Daggerheart. Just the fluidity aspect of what they're doing. And a little unexpectancy. So, let's see. Any order. Amounts of GM's roll. So that just says players can keep going. So the first hitter just kind of like I think the first hitter doesn't even need to be said. I think when you enter combat, you can assume, someone started it. And they are obviously going first. Be right back. All right, see you, Twin Steel. I'm going to try to brainstorm this for a second. But also, please try to think of some ideas here. But anyway, so. Okay, if we're going to change the dice for the party size, I guess how are we thinking we're going to do that? So, my initial thought was, okay, if it's like less than 4 people, then a D4. If it's 4 people, then probably should use a D6. Because, yes, you could get them extra turns, But that's better than like having one person that maybe doesn't have the best, maybe doesn't have the best stuff to do. You know, no turns at all. Maybe there should be a rule also that every player needs to play, if the option's available, right? Because there are plenty of players that don't care to, like, they don't have anything to do during combat, or at least not a lot to do. Like, they're not as important. Like, the person with the shotgun is always going to be doing more than me trying to make investigation rules on the environment, you know? So I don't know. I think that I've heard really good, I've heard a lot of people say really good things about the way DAGGERHEART's system works and how it kind of releases that initiative aspect. So I'm honestly completely open to trying it out. So you know what? Let's go ahead and see how this plays out for a second. So I'm the GM. You guys are the players. You guys just started a fight with this monster by ambushing it. So I'm going to go ahead and say, wait a minute. Maybe it should be based off of how many threats there are, actually. Maybe that should be it. Like, because I'm just thinking, I just thought of, like, okay, well, if it's against one, like, troll, it makes sense for, like, everybody to kind of, like, especially when they're ambushing him. No, I'm getting too ahead of myself. This is a very jumbled up video I'm making right now. Can you guys hear that show in the background, by the way? Let me see. Okay, good, you can't. There's my mom, they're watching or my wife is watching a show in the living room, and I just want to make sure y'all can hear that. Anyway, so they have a d6 that they're going to roll. In 5 turns of the players, it is now the environment's turn. And the environment, in this case, is the troll, obviously. So if you're playing with 4 people, someone gets an extra turn. Yeah. However, if another troll comes in, no, then the danger number would go up. See, I'm getting a little too ahead of myself here. I think that you should have a set die when it comes to, let's see, what should we call this die, by the way? Oh, hello. We should probably call this die like the turn die or something like that. Amount the GMs roll on turn die. The turn die is established at the beginning of the campaign when you find out how many players you have. So let's see. It's either a D6 or a D4. Because you don't want the players to have like an infinite amount of turns, right? Yeah, because there's too many people. Like, think about it. I was trying to think, like, well, it doesn't matter how many turns they have. Well, it does, because the more people you have, the more people will be rolling the danger number. The more people will fail, the more deadly combat will be. So what you want to do is not make it too deadly. Let's balance it out. Obviously, D6. Let's make a D6. I know that I'm putting parentheses inside parentheses. D6 if there's 4 or more, and a D4 if there's less than that. Okay, I think that works. That makes total sense, I think. So a D6 is generally gonna roll. Yeah, this reminds me of timers. Yeah, there's kind of like a timer basically. So there are so many types. Are you familiar when usage dice? In usage dice, yes, I am. It's basically when you have a die assigned to a object you have. You roll it when you use it, and if it's a 1, then you degrade. You basically degrade a die, showing the wear and tear of that item. Are you? Yeah, we do around the table initiative lot. Same here. I mean, it's just the easiest thing to remember. The thing is though, if you can still do that in this system because you get to decide, I guess, what the turns are, but you have the option basically to completely change it. In fact, it's suggested to change if you're using this kind of dice timer system, or the turn die as we just called it. I kind of hate that name, honestly. Or just a timer. Let's just call it the timer. Here you go. Okay. Having a number of threats affect the timer absolutely makes sense. Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. I mean, yeah, because you want to make sure. Because I'm not sure you're here for it, but I just did this weird abstract math, but it makes sense. The more people you have, the more people will fail the danger number, making combat more deadly. So if you have more people, it should be less frequent when, you roll for danger. So a d6 if you have 4 more people. Which I think makes sense because, one, I want everyone to have a turn, or like have the option to have a turn, basically. Or, the d4. If it's less people, I think even still then, if it's 3 people, then a d4 should be totally fine. Yeah, I just rolled a 3 there. So that means that after 3 people, after every single person plays, then the environment will go, But it's also kind of, it also adds like a aspect of like, it's unexpected when the environment will go, when the players will be out of time and have to roll then. Because I really want both. We're really creating a game here that's super exciting and tense when, you're rolling to avoid danger with the danger die and now this timer, which the players don't see. And we're making it extremely triumphant when they do well with the way they roll damage. Very nice. Anyway, well, that's pretty much what I wanted to present as far as like, taking things from DAGGERHEART. Yeah, big fan of the game they've got going on so far. I've heard some gripes about it, but honestly, I like the idea of a mechanic that's the 2d12s, and you can either gain hope, like a meta currency based on that. I wish there was kind of more to it than that, but alas. Okay. Yes, that's one way to do them. 1 or 2 seems the most common, but if you can play with that, more numbers increase the odds of triggering. Bigger die size decreases the chance. That's true. Yeah. Let's see. 1 or 2 seems most common, but you can play with that. More numbers increase the odds. Yeah. So you could have a system that affects both trigger number and the dice size. Okay, you're talking about the trigger number, like not the trigger die, like the timer die that we're working with here. Like have certain aspects that will affect that. I don't know, because you're already gonna have like the danger die basically that's gonna be rolling. I feel like, well, if you're being surrounded, maybe you can, lower that danger die or whatever. I don't know. I think that maybe that should be a consistent thing. And just like the GM, they just have that timer die, and they're going to just be rolling with that the rest of the campaign, assuming all the players keep playing throughout the rest of the campaign. Based on the amount of players, maybe. But man, I do love the idea of a combat system that's increasing in danger as you go, though. I do like that. But I think that you can still do that with the danger number. I think we don't want to put too many moving parts on, I guess, one single thing. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to make it too complex on the GM in a way. They're already worrying about how to narrate and how to, like, remembering what's affected by what. I think that we might, this might just be something that needs to stick, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, this has been huge. I'm definitely going to put this. I've already started, like, I started making the front half of the rule book. Oh, you guys want to see like what I've got so far with that? I've already kind of. But no, I don't want to do that. Let me show you guys what I've got so far with that. As for keeping consistent, not too compact, there's a way to adjust different aspects of variables. Yeah, I agree. I think that, yeah, if you want it to become more deadly, I guess, you could always affect that. Okay, this is what we're working with so far. I'm working on the rule book. Obviously, this is not going to be the image. I'm literally learning how to draw right now so that I can create the art for this. Also, you could do something with the players have to manage how it fits your vibe. Yeah. Also, yeah, it could do something where the players have to manage it. I think that's a fun aspect to the game. When you have to like manage several things at once. You can, yeah, that's why they're interacting with the environment. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, I want to talk about, anyway, that's a little sneak peek of what's to come, maybe. Obviously, this image could be different, but trichotomist. Already working a little bit on, you know, the rule books. Thank you. Still working on it, but, obviously, that's not my art. I wish I could draw and paint like that, but I'm gonna make sure it's all genuinely coming from, you know, from me. Of course, Kalen the Alien. Always good to see you. Okay. You were right on time. I was just about to completely change the subject. Okay. To what? Let's see. I'm gonna move these down. We're talking about real quick, actions, combat actions. This needs to be all caps. Okay. Combat actions. You know how it is. You guys already know this. What will the combat actions be in Trichotomist? Well, let's talk about that. So, I wanted to keep it pretty simple. In Trichotomist Alpha, I had a really long list of things you could do. And it was a little intimidating. The people I play tested with were kind of like, oh, okay, well, I think that you can almost, I guess, give people too many choices to the point when they're kind of stagnant, intimidated, maybe. Yeah. This isn't completely different, I guess, but okay, so did I really put action? Okay, so let's break it down to the elemental. I have like my whiteboard here with what I've put in the past. So obviously you can attack. Oop. Okay. Should there be 3 since it's trichotomy? I think there's a more. Oh man. Yeah. Aggressive, defensive, supportive. Oh man, that did something to my brain just then, twin. It's really hard to resist. Oh man. Yeah, you guys have actual power over me. You guys don't realize how much power you have. Okay. Okay. Let's mess with that for a second. 2 ace, that's really good. So aggressive, defensive, and supportive. Those, man. Okay, well, let's talk about what those mean. So aggressive is obviously would be like attacking and stuff like that. Defensive. Okay, but here's the thing. Like we talked about last time, there's a danger number that's always going to be, present during the combat. I love it if one of the choices you have is to do something to decrease that number. I don't know if that would fall under defensive or supportive, but that's the general idea. And then help allies in some way. It sounds like a supportive thing, right? Let's do that. So, let's see. Lower danger number. Or, helping ally. Or helping another player. And you can basically give that player advantage, which we already described as increasing that dice line, giving them another die to roll, increasing their chances to succeed by a lot. So supportive should not be slept on, because you kind of need to do that to decrease that danger number, by interacting with the environment, right? I like that the players could affect the danger number. Agreed. My idea behind that is, you guys know this if you've watched any of my videos talk about anything combat, but I love it when you can affect the game, like the way combat's working, by what you choose to do. Like, if I choose to hit him in the eye, or if I choose to, set the place on fire, or maybe stop a fire, and the danger number is a way you can really do that. If the place is on fire, the danger number is going to increase because, if you get hit or you stumble around, you might burn yourself, obviously. So, if you consciously decide to put out that fire, I think you should be rewarded for that. It's disadvantage, stackable. I guess it could be. Maybe not disadvantage. But Kalen, me and Dice, Twin Steel presented this idea for advantage and disadvantage called shot a thing. Ooh, that's a cool idea right there. I don't know where I'm going right now. It just advertised to me and I completely clicked it for no reason at all. I just realized I have 2 streams of music going on right now. My bad, guys. That probably sounds horrible. Oh no, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so we got advantage is when you add a die to the dice line, which, Kalen, if you remember, it's like basically how many times you roll a d10 to try to succeed. That's your dice line. So if you have a 3 in strength, you have 3 dice in your line of what you can roll. If you have advantage, you get to add another one to that. Now you can roll 4 times if you want to, and you keep the last roll you've taken, basically. So if I roll a 9 and I decide that's probably the highest I can go, then I'm going to stop there, and I have a 9 for my roll. Okay? Disadvantage means, I think we've decided, this was the idea of your first success doesn't count, but I think we have decided in the stream that instead you lose a dice for your line, right? And what that means is the exact opposite. You have 3 dice in your strength. Well, now your leg is broken, so now you're gonna have a 2 dice. We decided that this kind of makes sense because if you have a 1 in strength, like if let's say I'm weak, and I am pretty weak. So let's say that I'm a scrawny character that's not strong, and I'm starving, and I have disadvantage. I don't think it's incorrect to have them basically fail any roll that requires, like, if there's a chance for them to fail. Like, the example we used was trying to push a cart back onto the road after it fell into a ditch. Guess what? The guy that's skinny anyway, that is also starving, is not going to be able to do that. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, I remember dice lines from last time. Yeah, that's right. So that's essentially kind of what we're thinking here. Stackable, I think maybe advantage could be stackable. I don't know about disadvantage though. I think that'd be horrendous. Thinking about subtracting 2 dice. That's a lot. I think that maybe disadvantage pretty much stays the same. but advantage, sure, why can't it? It can be stackable. So if you, yeah. Oh, we got a psychological thing in the chat. Holy crap, okay. If you describe the extra dice as adding to the beginning, like it's the first one they roll. Ooh, okay. What would that do? It'll feel like the advantage was more helpful than if at the end and it didn't reach it. That's actually, look at you. Yeah, psychologically making it feel more important. 100%. I'm actually going to put that in my little note so I don't forget that. Add die to the start of the line. You're right. It's a psychological thing that people will generally, you know, be more excited about it because they'll think it just in their brain. They'll just be like, oh, great. I get to roll for my advantage die first. Yeah, that's actually super smart. Good idea. I meant like canceling out. Oh, yes, that's true. You can cancel them out. Like if you have advantage and if you have disadvantage in some way, and then you gain an advantage, like, you know, someone helping you or, you know, something like that, they cancel out and you're back to where you were before. Yes, that's the beauty of this system is they can cancel each other out. So if I'm weak and I'm starving, but I've taken like a potion of strength, giving me advantage, then yeah, I'm going to be back to my 1 and I'll be able to roll to try to push that cart out of the ditch. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's a pretty important aspect that I'm glad we got ironed out. I actually am pretty happy with that. But you guys let me know also if you think that's good. I think it's simple. It's really leading into, you know, the dice line, which we've established will be the core mechanic of this game. Yeah, I think I'm a fan. Thank you guys so much for helping me develop that. I'm going to really mess with these combat actions also. Dang it, Twin, you really know how to get me with the 3 because of Trichonomist. Yeah, that's... yeah, every opportunity I can, I try to make it like a rule of 3 when it comes to this game. Because it's just fun. I don't know. It just helps. It's just that part of my brain. Anyway, that psychology thing is why I make players roll all the dice in one throw with advantage. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's also just more exciting when that happens, right? 100%, dude. But anyway, well, sorry, Kayla, I know you just got here recently, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to wrap up the stream. But you guys are actually the best ever. And I am really glad that we made a lot of good progress today. What's your streaming schedule? Only Saturdays? Yeah, as of right now, it's only Saturdays that I'm streaming. Generally close to like, 9:30 Central Time. I don't know the math for everywhere else. But yeah, that's kind of what we're working with now. But I'll be more than happy to extend it. But I like waking up early on Saturdays. What can I say? So that's what I'm doing. Toodles, Kalen. Thank you, Twin Steel, for helping me out with that. I'm going to keep messing with the combat actions and go from there. But anyway, that is it for now, guys. Y'all have a great rest of your day. See y'all later.